Hello, friends. Hope all of you are doing good. So, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. Topic for today is No Constitution by itself achieves perfect justice. Friends, as always, before I begin, I have a personal request. So, my book Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has been pirated. Unfortunately, pirated copies are of very low quality, low print quality. So, please buy original from the seller affordable on Amazon and from the seller Arvind Books on Flipkart and support friends. Thank you. Friends, today is a very special day for me because today is the 7th anniversary of my results. It was on July 4, 2015 that I got my results. So, just thought of sharing this with you. And also, friends, actually, I just wanted to narrate what all happened that day so that you would get motivated, so that you can keep your spirits high. Friends, that day, nowhere, I did not have even the slightest inkling that I would get rank 36. But God was very kind. It was one of the most thrilling moments of my life. Even today, if I recollect that day, so it just sends goosebumps. It just creates goosebumps all across. So, friends, actually, what happened that day? That day, I mean, unlike every year, UPSC had said that they would release result at 1 p.m. on July 4, 2015. So, we were all very anxious and we were waiting. To be frank with you, I was thinking that I might get my name in the list, but I might not end up getting IAS. Was my feeling, because most of us think that there would be others who would have performed better than us. That's how that's how aspirants think. Then that day I was with my friend. Suddenly I started getting messages at 12:40 itself that result out, result out. Then I tried opening that result in my mobile. It did not get opened. Every second counts, friends. At that point of time, heart was actually racing. Then suddenly my friend, we opened it in the friend's mobile, and there, interestingly, it got opened. And then I searched my name, and it was like 5 results found. I was so happy, so excited. I thought at least one of them must be mine because my name is not very common. So then, first result no, second no, third no. Then I started thinking that my name must not be there in the list because, friends, I am from a general category. My rank could be anywhere. Within 500. It could not be beyond 500. So I thought, okay, I have lost this time as well. Then suddenly after fourth, then next fifth result was my name in the first page. Actually, what had happened was, so my friend, while scrolling it down, he had placed the second page, and the search started from the second page rather than from the first page. That apart, the moment I had already, in those fraction of second, I had thought that my name was not there, and suddenly my name appeared. Such a thrilling moment. I literally jumped. I literally shouted. And what happened that day is one of the most memorable turn of events in my life. I don't think I'll get such events in future also. So wishes across. I was not busy. I was very busy. I was not at all free. I could not even speak to parents after informing the results. My phone kept on ringing. One of the best days, friends. Why I am telling you all these things is, very few people would get that experience. I want you to experience that actually. So please take that as motivation. And also, friends, actually, I just want to narrate my essay story also. What was the role of essay in that success? Friends, actually, in my first attempt, I had taken only 70 marks in my essay. Out of 250, I had only scored 70 marks. What had happened in my first attempt? In fact, in my first attempt, I had not prepared for essay at all. I thought it was a general paper and I should write it generally. So I just went to the examination, and the first essay that I wrote was in the exam itself. And the topic was, be the change you want to see in others. I had chosen a philosophical topic. And what I did, the moment I saw the topic, I started jotting down all the examples and incidents that struck my mind. I kept on writing examples, and I wrote my essay in such a way that in social sphere, this is the example. In economic sphere, this is the person who wanted to be the change he wanted to see in others. And in technological sphere, so and so entire essay was like I just wanted to keep it multidimensional, and I filled it with examples. I tried to explain all my concepts with examples. The moment I finished writing it, I was so excited. I thought, okay, I have given so many incidents, so many examples. I think very few aspirants would have done it. Evaluator will get impressed. He would definitely give me good marks, and all these thoughts were crossing my mind. I was thinking that even if I got less marks in other subjects, essay would compensate for that, what not. I was thinking all these things. But unfortunately, when the results come, when the marks was out, I had scored one of the least marks in the essay. It was because of essay that I did not even get interview call that year. Then I decided, okay, perhaps that was not the way in which essay needs to be written. In fact, I was going through some of the essays that you people have uploaded on Insights. Some people actually have written like that only. What was the mistake that I committed? Mistake one was, my essay was not analytical. I had just tried to supply the examples substantiating the topic given. That's it. I supplied example from various dimensions. Does UPSC expect us to just supply examples? No. What UPSC expects us to do? UPSC expects us to analyze the topic and then justify our stand, or to come to a conclusion, analyze the topic from various dimensions, come to a conclusion. That's what UPSC expects. But I didn't do anything of that sort. So then I realized, no, essay is something which I should take very seriously. Then in the second attempt, I started writing essay from the beginning. Every essay, I was getting evaluated by Insights Vinay sir only. So I was ensuring that every essay was multidimensional. Every essay I was trying to bring analysis. I was trying to support examples. Then I was coming to a conclusion. So rather than just taking the topic on its face value, I was questioning the topic, and then I was either supporting that statement or dissenting that statement, and then that's how I was concluding. Perhaps that was the reason. And then I continuously wrote essays. I wrote every, I think, week I used to write some 2 essays, something like that. But then after writing, then what happened? Then the second time, when I went to the exam hall, I was pretty confident that second time I would write well. But actually, earlier what used to happen, we used to get only 1 essay. But when I got through, that was the first time they gave 2 essays. Very few people had mentally prepared for it. But fortunately, I could take up what I did. I said, okay, 2 essays, I have to somehow finish both the essays. Then I said, first 1.5 hour for essay 1, the next 1.5 hour for essay 2. First half an hour for brainstorming, then 1 hour for writing. Then after 1.5 hour, then the next first half an hour was for brainstorming or for the second topic, and then writing essay. So somehow I wrote all those things and I came out. I only felt how stupid was I in first attempt to write just examples and to just support the statement given after seeing my essay. So I was very sure that I would get decent marks in essay that time. But actually, once the results were out, I was pretty surprised, friends. My score was 138. My score had actually got doubled. In fact, even today I can confidently tell you, essay played a very critical role in my performance in mains. Friends, you may be aware, because I ended up getting a little, below average marks in interview. I got only 151. But because of this performance in essay, ethics, optionals and everything, even with below average marks in personality test, I could figure my name in the top rank. So why I am telling you all these things is, it is possible, friends. I was a person who was getting one of the least marks in essay. With some amount of effort, I could go to the league of getting one of the highest marks actually. So that's possible. So most of you who are actually thinking that you cannot write, you are not writing a qualitative essay, please, no need to lose heart. You can definitely write a good essay, but you can definitely end up getting very good marks. But only thing is that make your essay analytical, make your essay coherent, and come to analyzing the things from opposite dimensions. Please come to a conclusion and conclude yourself taking a stand. then you will definitely end up getting good marks. Okay friends, now let's move to the actual topic for the day. Okay friends, now as I told you already, the moment you see an essay topic, you should not take that topic in its face value. So what most of aspirants does, even I have seen some mock essays being written by aspirants on insights. Most of them have just tried to substantiate the topic itself. They just justify the statement from various angles, quoting various examples, but that will never fetch you good marks, friends. What is the topic given? Topic says no constitution by itself achieves perfect justice. But what most aspirants does, they would just think in this direction and they would just try to say that yes, no constitution will achieve perfect justice. No constitution will achieve perfect justice. But to be frank, to get more good marks, you will have to pose a question. Convert that statement into a question. What is the question? Whether no constitution by itself achieves perfect justice. I mean to say whether any constitution by itself achieves perfect justice. Something like that. That means you are not taking the statement in its face value, but you are questioning that statement itself. So if you think from this point of view, then you will get points from both the directions. You will think that yes, there may be some possibilities in which constitution can achieve perfect justice, but there may be some circumstances because of which constitution will not be able to achieve perfect justice. Then if you are able to think from both the directions, then you will be able to come to a conclusion. So that is the single most way in which you can get good marks. So lesson is that don't take any topic in its face value. Question that topic yourself and try to find and explore answers for that question in the essay. That will fetch you good marks. Okay friends, then what are the components for this? I told you any essay, first you have to, once you jot down the points, then you have to frame those points into some components. And then you have to, once the essay is conceptualized as being made of various components, you have to link the components to write a very coherent essay. So that components for this is introduction, and then you have to write what is constitution, what is justice, then how does constitution seek to achieve justice or seek to achieve perfect justice. Then you can say where constitution fails. Then you can conclude, I think it is not visible, I will read it for you. Remedies in constitution for promoting justice. So that means first you are trying to explore how constitution seeks to achieve perfect justice. Then you are exploring the areas where constitution fails to achieve perfect justice. Then you are suggesting the remedies so that constitution will be able to achieve perfect justice. Then you will conclude the essay. Perhaps if you write like this, your essay will be coherent. The one who starts reading your essay from page 1 will not get disturbed, and he will just continuously, easily he will go and finish till the end of the essay. So that is the power of conceptualizing the topic as being made of various components initially itself. Okay friends, now let us come to the first component, that is introduction. Friends, actually I thought the life of K.R. Narayanan, former President of India, is the best example to start with. Friends, K.R. Narayanan was born in a remote village in Kerala. He was one of the brightest students of the class. Perhaps he was the first Dalit in India to get first rank in his post-graduation from the University of Trivandrum. Then normally what used to happen, at that time it was pre-independent India, so administration was under the Raja of Travancore. The executive head was Diwan of Travancore. So earlier the custom was whoever stood first, whoever got first rank was offered a permanent lecturer post in that college itself. Okay, but when K.R. Narayanan got that first rank, that post was denied to him. He was offered a clerical job instead, or he was offered I think lecturer post for a temporary period, and then he was offered a clerical job. Then also the K.R. Narayanan denied that, and K.R. Narayanan wanted to meet Raja of Travancore to appeal to him that he be given a permanent job because it was custom. But he was denied admission to meet the king also. It was pre-independent India. What was constitution then? Constitution was something which was decided by the king then. So at that time the Diwan of Travancore decided not to give him that position. He was denied appeal to higher up. Then what was the reason, friends? That was because he belonged to scheduled caste. That was because he belonged to a Dalit community. Okay, that was that K.R. Narayanan. But anyway, K.R. Narayanan could later take Tata Fellowship and then go abroad and then study and then got into Indian Foreign Service, and then he became the first citizen of India. So then before independence he was denied a permanent lecturer post in the college, which was custom then, okay, just because he was a Dalit. But after independence, though he was a Dalit, he was made the first citizen of the country. Friends, so are you able to see this stark difference? The constitution before independence in Travancore denied him. Of course, we cannot directly call it constitution, but even then, the customs that were akin to the constitution at that point of time denied him the permanent lecturer position which he rightfully deserved because he belonged to a particular community. But same thing after independence, when those customs were suppressed by something called Constitution of India, he could become the first citizen of the country. So thus, in the first case, Constitution was not able to achieve perfect justice. In the second case, in the second instant, it was because of Constitution justice was done and a Dalit boy could become President of India. So that's how you can write two paragraphs. First paragraph for before independence, second paragraph for after independence, and that's how you can introduce this topic, friends. Okay, friends. Now, after introducing the topic, you need to write about Constitution. What is Constitution, friends? In simplest terms, Constitution is the basic law of land. That means it is the fundamental law of the land. And all other laws shall emanate from and be in consonance with Constitution. That means every law in the country that will govern the people shall be in accordance with the principles enshrined in the Constitution. No law shall go against the spirit of Constitution. Why I am stressing all laws, friends? Because Constitution plus laws put together will govern country. Constitution plus laws put together, through governing the country, they will either achieve perfect justice or do injustice. It is only because of laws and Constitution either justice will happen or justice will not happen. Then, friends, third important aspect is Constitution should command credibility from citizens. Why Constitution should command credibility from citizens? Because every citizen should feel that Constitution is just. Every citizen should feel that Constitution is for the good of everyone. If one section of society feels that Constitution is against its own interest, then slowly that community or that section of society will lose faith in the Constitution and they will try to subvert the Constitution. Thus, perfect justice will not be done. So, Constitution which commands credibility from citizens can only do perfect justice. So thus, these are some of the things which you can highlight. Some 3-4 paragraphs you can write and elaborate about Constitution, friends. Then comes justice. What is justice, friends? Justice is a very abstract term. We really don't know. So many different interpretations will come. So, but it is important to understand the meaning of justice and to explain that in the essay, so that in due course it becomes easier for you to link constitution and justice. See, what is just basically? Just means, first and foremost thing is that every citizen should feel he or she has equal rights. That is the first priority. Equal rights and equal priorities. Equal opportunities. That means no citizen, if every citizen feels that he has equal rights and every citizen has equal access to opportunities, that means justice is done. If one citizen has no access to equal opportunities, then perhaps there is no justice. So take the example of British ruled South Africa, friends. Or Africans were not allowed to travel in that first class compartment in the train. That means there was no access to equal opportunities to the Africans and African Indians living there. That means there was no equality. That means it was not justice. So the first cardinal principle of justice is equality. Then comes equity. Friends, all of us know that though there has to be equal access to opportunities, sometimes some preferential treatment needs to be given to the people who are in need of it, who are disadvantaged. That means, for example, a visually challenged person should be allowed more time in a examination. That means a person who did not have equal access to opportunities should be given some preference. For example, the person who did not have equal opportunity to education should be given some special treatment so that he will also be able to stand with others. So that is the principle, that is the logic behind reservation systems in India. So scheduled caste and scheduled tribe who do not have access to equal opportunities in education are given opportunities through reservation in educational institutions and even in public employment. So the second principle of justice is equals should be treated equally, unequals should not be treated equally, unequal should be the less equals should be given more facilities so that they become equal to others. So that is the principle of equity. Then the third principle is fairness. What is fairness, friends? It is simple. Fairness means every citizen should get his due share in common resources. That means, take the example of one well in a village. Earlier what used to happen? Only people from upper caste had access to draw water from that well. It was a common resource. So thus one section of society did not have equal opportunity, did not have access to a common resource. Take the example of temples. It was a common resource. Even then some upper caste people were only allowed into the temple. Thus everyone getting a due share in common resources is fairness. Then respect to effort, skill and risk. Of course, friends, there should be equality, there should be equity. Even then, along with equality and equity, there should be rewards based on the efforts, skill and risk taken by anybody. If someone is ready to work hard, if someone has better skills, if someone is ready to do a dangerous job, then he should be given more rewards, or he should have an environment wherein he can work hard, earn more. He can display his skills and get rewarded more, or he can take more risk and be rewarded more. That environment is pretty much important, friends. Most of the times, if it were to be like a situation wherein how much ever you earn, you have to surrender some money to government, then perhaps it is not fair. Yeah, I am working hard, I should be able to earn more. If I am ready to work day in and day out, and if I am ready to make money, let me make money. So that environment is fairness. Third one is there should be very less discretion. What is less discretion? If there is less discretion, there is more objectivity. So all these things, maybe equality, equity and fairness, all these things put together, we have the concept of justice. Thus, friends, now we have explained the concept of constitution. Now we have also explained the concept of justice. Next, friends, we have to establish a link between this constitution and justice. So thus you should, next para should be, now from the above paragraph, from the above discussions, we have realized that constitution is the basic law of land, and constitution is the law from which all other laws spin off, or all other laws we should be in consonance with the constitution. At the same time, what is justice? Equality, equity and fairness. Thus, what is the link between this constitution and justice? Then a basic law of land, if it incorporates these three principles, then it is said to serve the objective of justice. If it does not have these three principles, or if it has diametrically opposite principles, then it is not serving justice. So thus you should be able to establish the link between constitution and justice. Then once you establish the link between constitution and justice, you should be able to say how constitution seeks to promote perfect justice. I already told you, friends, the first and foremost thing is the constitution should incorporate the principles of justice in it. That means, take the example of let us say Minto-Morley reforms. From Minto-Morley reforms, what happened? There was representation to legislatures. The Indians were allowed to legislatures, but how were Indians elected? There was no equal opportunity to everyone. British nominated some people. That means some Raja who was favorable to them was nominated. Then where was the principle of justice in that? Thus, then what has happened to the present constitution? Any person in India, any citizen can raise to the topmost position, can contest in elections, can become a member of parliament, member of legislative assembly, minister, even vice president, president, prime minister, anything. Thus, if the constitution incorporates the principles of justice that were discussed in the previous slide, that is the first way in which the constitution can promote perfect justice. If these things are not incorporated, then of course constitution will itself defeat the purpose of justice. Constitution will itself advance the interests of unjust people. Friends, then the next point is provision of incentives for abiding by justice. What does that mean? That means constitution itself should have some provisions so that the action or behavior of the government or any other organization or even the citizens, actions abiding by justice are incentivized, and the actions not abiding by the justice will be disincentivized. Then the classic example is Constitution of Finance Commission under Article 280 of our Indian Constitution, friends. What does this Finance Commission do? Finance Commission will recommend for distribution of revenues between union and states. At the same time, it will also recommend the distribution of revenue amongst states itself. Now these days, Finance Commission has laid down some principles according to which the states which have streamlined the process of collection of taxes in urban local bodies, they get more funds. The states which have not streamlined the process of tax collection will get less funds. That means the states which have started collecting more taxes will get more funds, so that the people who are being taxed will get more money. The states where taxes are not hiked or not streamlined, then they get less money. That means this principle of Finance Commission is seeking to or trying to achieve the purpose, the principle of justice, fairness. So thus, Constitution itself will have some provision so that the justice gets advanced. Then the third thing is, it acts as guiding light for policies and even human conduct. Whatever is in the Constitution, if that Constitution lays down only just principles, then it will act as a guiding light. For example, directive principles of state policy. All the principles of directive principles of the state policy, which are in the nature of a guiding light, will lead the state to build a just society. It will also, what are the principles of Constitution directly or indirectly will influence the citizens also to behave similarly. Thus, these are some of the ways in which Constitution can seek to promote perfect justice. Then friends, if the Constitution can seek to achieve perfect justice, then where does the Constitution fail? Constitution also fails. In most of the cases, the Constitution fails in the promulgation stage itself. That means at the formulation stage itself, the Constitution fails. That means the incorporation of the principles against justice into the Constitution will collapse, we will bring down the objectives to achieve perfect justice. So take the example of French Constitution. What was the French Constitution before Revolution, friends? All the decisions were made by majority of vote in their parliament, if we may say so. How was the voting done? There were 3 estates and each estate had 1 vote. The first estate was represented by king and royal family. The second estate was represented by nobles, and the third estate was represented by all the labor class and common citizens. That means any decision for that matter, if both nobles and royals, kings agreed, then that used to become decision. Was this not a fallacy? So even as against the aspirations of lakhs of citizens, handful of people were able to the votes of handful of people had more weightage than the votes of lakhs of people. That means the principle of equality was disturbed. How would then perfect justice happen, friends? Thus, if perfect justice has to happen, it can happen only if those principles are incorporated in the Constitution. Thus, the first step in which Constitution fails to achieve perfect justice is promulgation itself. If Constitution is promulgated properly with the principle, by incorporating the principles of justice, then it will seek to achieve perfect justice. Another example is Minto-Morley reforms. Under Minto-Morley reforms, though we cannot directly call it Constitution, but before independent India, what was Constitution, friends? All these laws only, no? So Minto-Morley reforms, they gave separate communal electorate. That means it was not serving the purpose, it was not serving the principle of fairness, it was not serving the principle of equality. So thus, if these principles are incorporated into the Constitution, then they would definitely serve to promote injustice, they will never serve justice. Then the second aspect in which Constitution fails is in implementation phase. Though Constitution has all cardinal principles of justice being incorporated in it, but if those principles are not implemented in reality, for whatever may be the reason, then also the Constitution fails. How? What are the various ways in which there are implementation pitfalls? The first thing is expensive recourse mechanism, friends. Let us say there is a Constitution has been violated. Constitution with all the principles of justice is violated by someone. If that violation has to be corrected, then either the citizen or organization, whoever, or a political party should have recourse, right? Should have some recourse to correct that violation. But if that recourse itself is expensive, then perhaps nobody will try to even nobody will try to arrest that violation, and then the principles, even the best principles incorporated in the Constitution, will fail to translate into just outcomes in reality. So why this happens? Always it is, take the example of legal cost. Friends, there is some violation of constitution by some government employee from government machinery, let us say, against a common man. If common man has to fight against that government, then he has to file a case in the court. Filing a case in the court and bearing the expenditure of the lawyer, etc., etc. Do you think it is easy? It involves lot of expenditure. Then that means if the recourse mechanism for questioning the violation of the principles of constitution is expensive, then the constitutions, the justice will never get served. Then there is implementation issue. Then second thing is unaware citizenry, friends. If citizens are not aware of the cardinal principles of the constitution, so many times if injustice is done, they will not even raise their voice. How many citizens in India know all the principles underlying the constitution, friends? Very few. So thus, even with best of the principles, but with unaware citizenry, the constitution fails to achieve perfect justice. Third example is too verbose and complicated constitution. If the constitution is couched in the legalistic way, how many people will understand it? Very few people will understand it. And it is too verbose, complicated, and sometimes it can be ambiguous also. If the constitution is ambiguous, then it will be interpreted in a way that would help only one section of society. Thus justice will never get served. Thus friends, these are some of the aspects in which even the best constitution, even the just constitution, even the constitution with the principles of justice being incorporated in it fails to get implemented properly. Because of that failed implementation, it will defeat the purpose of achieving perfect justice. Then friends, we have now, first initially we discussed how constitution seeks to promote justice. Then we discussed where constitution fails in promoting justice. Now we should, once that is the case, then what are the mechanisms to be built into the constitution for making it achieve perfect justice? We should give some solutions also. Na? We cannot leave our discussion just like that, open. Then what are such things? First principle that will help in preventing failure of constitution and promoting perfect justice is distribution of power. If the constitution logically, cogently distributes power across various institutions, then no single institution is powerful to subvert the constitution. If one institution seeks to do something against the constitution, the other institution will step in and will prevent the same. So thus proper cogent distribution of power amongst various wings of the government is the first and foremost way in which constitution can be made to promote perfect justice. The second point is doctrine of checks and balances. This is just continuation of the distribution of power itself. Under distribution of power, no institution will have more power to subvert the constitution. But under doctrine of checks and balances, if one institution tries to suppress the constitution, subvert the constitution, the other institution will come and push it down. That is what happens in India. And the principle of judicial review. So judicial review mein what happens? When every law is subject to judicial review, and judiciary will decide whether that law is in consonance with constitution or not. If that law is not in consonance with the constitution, the judiciary will strike it down. So then difficulty in amending the constitution. Some principles in the constitution, friends, so should not be easy to amend. If the constitution is too supple, then though the founding fathers of the constitution would incorporate the principles of justice, as time passes by, men in power would amend it in such a way that it would serve their own interest, but it would not serve the interest of others. So thus it should not be very easy to amend a constitution, or to put it in another words, it should not be easy to amend the justice principles being incorporated in constitution. So elaborate concept. We know the concept of basic structures being introduced into the constitution by Supreme Court in Keshavananda Bharati case. That means those basic structures which most of which constitute the principle of justice cannot be altered by anyone. It cannot be amended. So similarly, even sometimes amendment also most of the times is there are some provisions in Indian constitution that expect even 50% of the state legislatures also to accept the amendment. Thus, if the constitutional amendment process is made in such a way that it is very difficult to amend the justice principles, then the constitution will survive and seek to promote justice. Then another thing is the process of recall, which we see in countries like Switzerland and all, where people can recall the government, or where people can recall the public representatives. So thus, if any government tries to act in an unjust manner or tries to violate the principles of justice incorporated in the constitution, there can be a provision for recalling the government, there can be a provision for recalling that particular public representative. Thus friends, these are some of the ways, some of the mechanisms that can be built into the constitution that will make it achieve perfect justice. You can also add more other points also, friends. You can talk about legal aid, free legal aid, so that whoever wants recourse into the violation of the principles of constitution can get free legal aid. So etc. Constitutional awareness building, which actually is being done now. Every graduation there is, across the streams, there is one paper which is compulsory. So constitution and professional ethics it is called. So constitutional awareness, these are some of the steps in which you can ensure that the constitution is strengthened so that the principles of justice are promoted, not subverted. Friends, then you can conclude stating that from the above discussion, it is very clear that no constitution can achieve perfect justice by itself because of some inherent implementation issues. However, it is the only bedrock containing the principles for building a just society. Only is important, friends. Without constitution, there is no basis for building any just society. Though constitution is not enough, but without constitution, there can be no justice. That's how you can conclude, friends. So thank you, all the best, study well.